So the Moor versus Negro, or I'm sorry, Black nationalist debate. Here's my 2 cents. First of all, number one, a label is when someone looks at you and tell you who you are. I'm of the belief that no one should be able to label you, for it is your duty to tell people you meet who you are, and they should accept that you are who you say you are. That's nationality, partially. That's nationality versus labels. Second part to nationality is that you say who you are, and it's obvious that you are by how you live. Your folklore, customs, traditions, your morals, your lifestyle, not just your garb, not just your lingo, but the decisions you make and how you live, who you live with, is all part of nationality. As far as the Moorish nationality today, there's much work that still needs to be done. I don't see a nation of Moors in the United States territory. I see people under colonization gravitating towards a label but not executing appropriately. Not yet. But I'll be going into that in future videos. In this particular conversation, just a label, just a label, what is the meaning? Not the benefits that will come later. What I'm discussing is just the meaning and the differences between the two. Can black be a nationality? I would. There are people who say no. Gaddafi wrote the Green Book, and he called the black people a nation. And so it could be, but it's not. And why it's a bad idea from this perspective, as even just a naming convention, that I'm going to discuss right now. This is, I'm not sure what book this is from, but this is, I neglected to put right the book title on this image that I screenshotted off of a book I was reading. I think it's the African Discovery of America Before Columbus book, but I'm not sure at this point. Because that was such a while long ago that I took this clip. But it describes the Negro or Negro, aka the black race. The construct Negro, unlike the term African, Moor, or Ethiop, suggests no situatedness in time, that is history or space, that is ethno or political geography. The Negro has no civilization, no cultures, no religion, no history, no place, and finally no humanity that might command consideration. The creation of the Negro, the fiction of a dumb beast of burden, fits only for slavery. Now, if you think about the history of the black person, where does it begin? Slavery. right? All those African descendants of slaves, that's their history. What did they build? They built the United States, but forced. It's not their own. They built it for someone else. They fought to be a part of it, yet still, to this day, actually, civil rights, everything happening in civil rights is being taken down systematically at the moment. So beware of ICE because there's still the immigration issue, the civic issue, which is why the term Moor or the Moorish Divine movement was 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 started 100 years ago. I don't believe it has reached its potential or even its initial concept uh, in the last 100 years. But just the name Moor, what does it mean? Well, from the Encyclopedia of Islam, Brill edition, the new edition, I think is printed by Brill. It mentions that I believe this is uh, portions of text translated from the Eastern sources into English, or if not direct translation, is research coming from Eastern documents. Now, Arabic, Almar, I'm not sure if that's pronounced the right pronunciation or not, but someone asked me before, what did the Moors call themselves 400 years ago? Well, it would have been the Almar if they spoke Arabic. Um, there was other languages, not just Arabic, but in Arabic it would have been Almar. But in the Western languages, it was Moor, or Mori, or Moros, or Morin, or Morin, Morin. Different variations, different time periods, different languages. But it referred to the ancient Muslims of Spain and the inhabitants of the Mediterranean ports of North Africa. Now, that is from the Western or the European perspective. That's who they knew them to be. Remember, they came to the America looking for Hindustan. So they knew that there's more civilizations outside of Europe, but they didn't, as far as, but they didn't have any frame of reference. They was just beginning to discover, and that's why it became the new world to them. So if they would have got to Hindustan, they would have realized that the Moorish influence was there also. They got to the Americas and they said, well, this looks just like Hindustan. Let's call these Indians, right? That's so the story goes. Um, the conquerors were Arabs and Berbers. I got another screenshot. I'm going to include more details about the Arabs, Berbers. It says, yet the Moros were in general considered as conquerors. So comparing that to the blacks, the blacks in history, Western history, is a construct of Westerners and begins from slavery. But the Moors, on the other hand, from the Western perspectives, was conquerors. As it says, Moors were represented as noble. in European literature. The Bible, Othello. It says the term was also used for all those whose complexion lay somewhere between light brown and black. That's a description of who these Moorish people in Spain were. Also, I think I skipped a part. It says the name that the inhabitants of the peninsula designed the Muslim conquerors during the whole period of the Muslim domination, 700 years, 711 to 1492, 700 plus years, the Moors ruled Europe and North Africa as far as the Europeans were concerned. When we go deep into the history, we see they moved over from there to the Americas and also east to China. I said there was another slide regarding the Arabs historically. From Turkish, Arab, noun in English, a black person, an Arab, was pretty much synonymous. A Semitic person, one who speaks Semitic languages, an Arab. So obviously, a Moor is a Semite. A Moor is not anti-Semitic. A Moor is Semitic. Also related to the Hebrews, including Arabs, prospering, wandering Bedouin tribes, or Berber. So that's the difference between the two terms. If we want to go into Indian, what is an Indian? A term used before the country of India became a place, designated to the tribal peoples of the Americas and other hemisphere. In Arabic, Indian would be Bedouin. So pretty much the Bedouin, the Berber, the Indian is all the same people. Different regions, but describing the lifestyle, the similar lifestyle and the similar traditions. So, is your nation a nation of slaves, or is your nation a nation made of conquerors? That's the question.